Righto, guys, welcome back to a special edition of the Social Distance Podcast. This edition is called Sam and Dan's Guide to George's Giro. Obviously, George isn't here. He's at the Giro. We're going to be very lucky to get him on the show at any point in the next 3 weeks. We will try on the rest days.
We can get him on a rest day, surely.
It's going to depend on how he's going. It's going to really depend on how George is going. And, I mean, I think it's going to depend on how he's going in the sense that if he's going really well, I understand that he's not going to want to waste an hour of his rest day talking to us, to the listeners.
I reckon the opposite. If he's going well, he'll want to talk.
Oh, I was thinking if he's going well, he's going to be pretty focused. He's going to be focused on recovery, massage, sleep, getting his ride done, the right nutrition. If he's going really badly, I think he's also just going to be hiding. So I think we're
fucked.
We are fucked.
Oh, well. All we can do is break down how he's going to smash the Giro and offer as much support as we can.
That's it. We're here to support George, and this show is about unpacking the 21 stages that faces George. We're going to try to unpack how we think George can win the Giro. We're going to focus on stages that he can do really well in, the 5-star George Bennett ratings, the 1-star George Bennett ratings, the factors around him that may help, may disadvantage him, all these sorts of things. And the catch about this unpack is that we've got no fucking idea about the Giro. We've thrown this together at the very last minute. We've done no research. I don't know a stage from a bloody elbow. And
I didn't even know George was leading the team.
No, that's right. You didn't. And we've only just 2 seconds ago found out who his teammates are. Yeah. So the catch of the show is that we're going to be doing an unpack of the Giro, our predictions of the stages for George, all on a whim. And we're researching while we're doing it. So
let's do it.
I'm not prepared for this.
This is going to be a good one. I can sense it.
Let's get ready to rumble!
And we're fucking G.
Are we? Oh, I'm so excited.
Well, you can't impeach somebody that's doing a great job.
From Suchin Tendulkar.
Bruce Gigolo.
George Bennett, you deserve this, big fella.
What's that salute?
He's put the finger straight through the one ply.
We try and create a comfortable environment. There's no bullshit.
There's just so many of them, aren't there, though? They just don't like it.
Nelson, be proud. Yeah, baby.
Stage 1, 8.6 kilometre prologue. Starts in Torino.
We might preface this. Well, we've got Cycling Tips is a great website if you want a breakdown of all the Giro stuff. So we can bring up their stuff on screen. And they've done a great unpacking of each stage. Sort of saves us having to do it. But yeah, I mean, what do you think looking at the race route there, Bewl? Like where they're heading and the ins and outs?
Well, when I look at that map, I have no idea which stage is which. I mean, I see the lines, I see where they're going, but I don't know which one's stage 1 or which one's stage 21. All I do know is that they start in Torino.
Yeah.
And it's an 8.6K prologue. I know that the third week is very, very heavy, like it always is in the Giro d'Italia. Very, very big stages in the last week. So it's going to be a race that is like all Giros, is always won in the last week. I mean, so it's going to be a very, very interesting first half of the race. And obviously we're starting with an 8.6K flat and very straightforward, not very technical prologue in Torino. Stage is not up George's alley.
Look at the write-up. Cycling News, our favourite website, has given Jumbo Visma. Jumbo Visma have kept their best riders to support Primo Roglic at the Tour de France. Now, that's a sledge. Surely they should have left a couple of gold nuggets for old GB at the Giro. But their Giro d'Italia lineup is solid too, with George Bennett leading the team and targeting the overall classification. Kiwi climber finished 8th in the 2018 Giro. Did he?
Yep.
Shit, that's not bad. And has improved since then. If the race is decided in the high mountains, then Bennett has a chance of the final podium. But like the other climbers, the time trials represent a handicap. So looking at this, Bews, how much time realistically do you reckon old GB is going to lose in the prologue?
Well, it's not so much about that. Like, I think if you're going back to the team quickly, the A team, as you'd say it, the A team is going to the Tour de France to support Primož Roglic. But you'd argue that George would be in that team 9 times out of 10. And the reason he isn't there is because the team have given him the opportunity to lead a Grand Tour. And the Giro is a perfect opportunity for him to do that. The last time he rode GC at the Grand Tour was 2018 Giro, where he finished 8th. And they have seen it's still got a good team. I mean, there's not a lot of climbers there to support him. He's got a couple of guys to help him in the mountains, but it's really a team full of big guys. Eduardo Afino, who's come from my team last year to Jumbo Visma, he's going to be a big support on the flat stages. And those guys are important in the Giro because it's a couple of days, especially the gravel stages, we get later into the route. And, there's always crosswind days, and, you can have wet and cold days in the Giro as well. Those guys are pretty important. So, I mean, I think he has definitely got a good team around him, and they'll be of no use in the prologue because you're by yourself. And if you chuck that back up on screen, that prologue.
Yeah. What's more important, Bills? I don't care about their riding ability. What are they like as blokes?
Good guys.
So they're going to get on the bus. There's going to be good atmosphere because there's nothing worse than going to a Grandy and knowing you got 3 weeks with stiffs or blokes that there's not much chemistry or, their music selection shit. They're flicking through 90s power ballads, which I'd be happy with. But
as we know with George, his tolerance level is fucking rock bottom with most people. Most people. So it is important to have a good group of guys around him. But when I look at that start list, I see Kun Bowman. He's a great guy, really good guy, and solid support rider. Yep. Eduardo Afino, absolute legend. He was a big loss to our team. It was sad to see him go. Super professional, young Italian guy, strong as an ox. He's a good guy to have around. Paul Martin, super experienced German guy who's been on Jumbo Visma for the better part of his whole career, 15 years probably. Tobias Foss, I don't know, but I do know that he's a good up-and-coming young climber. He's going to be a good support of George. David Decker, I think he's a neo-pro, young Dutch guy who's pretty quick in the sprints. And Jos van Emden, who is an absolute legend, one of the better guys I've met in the sport. And I know his relationship with George is super strong. They'll probably be roommates together. Well, they probably have their own rooms now with COVID, but typically they used to room together in Grand Tours, those two. And then you've got Dylan Groningen, obviously coming back into his first race back after his ban, and probably
he's going to be the key because he's going to suck up media attention, and that's what GB needs in this Grand Tour is to fly under the radar. And with COVID as well, there's not as much press there, so they're all going to be targeting Groningen.
They will be initially for sure. He's coming back. He's obviously there for the sprint stages. He won't be offering a lot of support for George in the mountains, but he'll be doing his bit on the flat stages if George is up there in GC. I think it's a well-rounded team. I think it's a good team for George. I think it's the right kind of team for him to lead. And I think, like you say, with Groningen there, he'll soak up a bit of the media attention early on in the race as it unfolds. And I'm sure George will be going on his typical Grand Tour social media ban where he deletes all his accounts. We don't hear from him. So as much as we are supporting him throughout the show, there's no doubt he would not be listening to it. So we can also chuck a few darts if we feel like it. But that's not what it's about, is it? That's not what it's about. Let's unpack the Torino Prologue. Look, how much time is George going to lose? Well, it's not really relevant because who's he losing time to is what's important. Of course, he's going to lose time to Filippo Ganna, to these prologue specialists. He could lose a minute to those guys, but that doesn't matter. It's about how much time he's going to lose or how much time he's going to gain on the GC riders. And it is a pretty very flat and very simple prologue, which is unlike the Giro. It's not very technical. There's no real complicated areas of this prologue. It's just about getting aero going as hard and as fast as you can. And I think, when you see the GC lineup at this tour, I think he'll hold his own pretty well. He might give away a second or two to a couple of guys. Simon Yates is in great form and he time trials pretty well when he is. He could arguably give away a little bit of time to guys like Simon, but I think it's so short, so simple, so fast that the GC guys are all going to be bunched up sort of there around, in the top 20 somewhere of the results, and it's going to have no real big effect on the overall.
Well, in terms of what the punters think, I think they had GB at 26-1, which it's sort of. I remember the year Cadell won the tour in 2011. I reckon he was about the same price. So he's not out of it. He is not out of it.
Is this for the punters? Is this for overall or for the prologue?
Overall.
Oh, overall. Yeah, right.
Bernal is a $3 favorite. I don't reckon Bernal's up to it. I reckon
he's a favorite.
$3 favorite.
What's Yatesy paying?
$430. And Evan Pole, his first time he's running a Grand Tour, he's equal second favourite.
Yeah, right. I wonder where they pluck these odds from.
I know. Yeah. And yeah, you've got George Bennett, 26. He's on the Jai Hindley's in front of him, 20-1.
Yeah, right.
Yep. So, all right, just survive this first one. Then you go to stage 2, sprinters stage. It's all about obviously crosswinds and protecting him there. Stage 3, bit lumpy. I reckon that looking at the Grand Tours last year, it's not going to be predictable. Like something always happens stage 3 or 4. Like always.
Always. And the thing with the Giro is, and George actually said this in an interview not long ago, that these stages that look pretty easy on paper, they can be really, really tricky, and they can actually create time gaps. And when you look at stage 3, which I haven't looked at until I'm about to click on it now.
It's on the screen.
Yeah, but I can't zoom in enough, I mean, it's good for I like the intent there, Jonsey, but
what do you want to zoom in on?
It's pretty simple this stage, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's look at the map. Yeah, they're sort of. Oh, it's pretty flat around there. It's fucking exposed, actually. There, so crosswinds definitely a factor. But like when you look at George's team, I think he's not going to have an issue there, and he's a feisty little bastard. He'll be up there. He doesn't lose time in crosswinds.
But also, they've had 2 stages before that of media attention with Groningen. It's all about the sprints. All about the sprints. He's all flying under the radar on the bus. So he should come into this mentally ready to go. And
I think, by this point, this is the second day that the guy that's won the prologue's in the leader's jersey. So then, that could well be Filippo Ganna. Ineos is there to win the Giro with Bewl. Do they want to keep that jersey? Do they want to, are they interested in still riding the front this early in the race when they're going to need, and they've got a pretty climber-stacked field? I mean, Filippo Ganna might have to ride the front in the pink jersey to defend his own jersey because everyone else is for the mountains. So there's a chance of breakaway wins on a stage like this, potentially. Yep. Or, I mean, those climbs, the last climb, it's a long, long way from the finish. It's 40K from the finish. I think you're looking at another sprint stage here. So again, probably George's, just a stage where you just got to survive, ride good position on these descents.
Stage 4 looks a bit more filthy. Cat 2 at the finish. Cat 3, about 50K to go. And then you got another couple of Cat 3s in the middle. That's shit house.
When's the gravel stage? Actually, I think there's a stage early on that has gravel at the finish. I don't think it's this one though.
Well, stage 5, flat as a pancake, boring as batshit, unless there's crosswinds. Look at this one, stage 6, barely a meter of flat road, 3,400 meters of climbing, and it's a proper uphill finish. 15.5K ascent. This is where it's really going to bust open early on.
If you look at the stage before that, I reckon it's for George, it's going to be, that's boring as shit. The one before that, I mean. That one there, that's
stage 4.
That's a gnarly day. That's potentially a day for the breakaway. But for George, it's going to be, if I was George, you'd be saving your bickies. It's going to be a small GC group go to the line there. Yeah. There might still be 20 guys and play at the finish there. Obviously, George would be wanting to be in that group of 20. If he's not, then it's not on. He's not up for it.
Well, the thing is, if you were George, right, and say you're feeling sensational early in this Giro, you can't show your cards. You got to save all those biscuits to the last week.
No, exactly. Especially when the last week is so heavy. You want to be coming into this race as a GC guy, maybe right on top of your game, but maybe 1% off. 1% off the top of your game. So you're not losing time, but you're waiting for the form, that last percent to kick in the last week. And I reckon that stage is going to be the sort of the stage where it shows who's really here to play. And then when you fast forward 2 stages from there, into that first Hilltop Finish, that's going to be where you're going to see GC guy winning the stage, attacks happening, like you say, Jonesy. It's going to start breaking open a little bit, and you're going to really see who's in good nick. This is the kind of stage that early on you can already see a contender just lose 20 seconds, 30 seconds.
Yeah. But it's a problem nowadays. Remember the old days, old school racing at Grand Tours. The older guys would save themselves, and they might pinpoint 1 or 2 stages. But these young blokes, they're like letting a dog out of a hot car. They don't want it. They don't care. They'll go and fire the bullets. And if you're not up there just hanging on for dear life, you could lose minutes.
Oh,
so
mate, and
screws it all.
And that's how the Giro, the Giro is kind of the start of the evolution, I reckon, because the Giro is such an exciting race. And yeah, when you go back to Cipollini's days, when they still have what they call the TV sprint at the Giro. It's the only race in the world that has a TV sprint, and that is nowadays it means nothing. It's just a sprint. I think it's maybe win like some fucking sausage from the local butcher or something if you win it. But previously that was when the TV coverage started. So when Cipollini was the boss of the bunch, 15, 20 years ago, they wouldn't even race the TV sprint. They literally do a bunch ride. Cipollini would be like, nah, nobody. No one. Let's just ride to the TV sprint. Just for the TV sprint, he'd just go like, you. Okay, you guys can go. That's the breakaway. And then they'd start from the TV sprint when the coverage started. But nowadays, they race from the start. And the Giro has always been an exciting race. The stages that they have, the way that they're designed, it always promoted aggressive racing early on. And then you bring in these little young nut jobs who just don't give a shit, like you say, who just hit the ground running, full steam, want to win every single stage if they can. It makes it even more exciting. So I think that day, exactly right, Jonesy. You're going to see these, Remco, these young guys having a crack. Even Yatesy, he loves to race these sort of climbs. So you're going to see on this stage what's going to happen. So that's going to be a stage where George has to just, I know it depends on how he chooses to race it, but I think if he's got the legs, he'll have a crack. But ultimately, it's about still staying calm, staying on the same time as the leader, staying on the same time as his contenders, and just getting through it.
And these sort of parcours, they always play out in terms of a breakaway will go, and there won't be any fireworks until that final climb for the GC guys. And they'll pull the breakaway sort of halfway up the final climb. Movie star or someone will have a couple of guys that have sent up the road. There'll be a few little kamikazes, but so early in the Giro, it's just going to be down that last climb, the last 4K, I reckon.
And it also depends who's leading the race at this point. Like the last 10 days of any Grand Tour can be slightly more predictable because by that point, one of the major contenders is probably in the leader's jersey. So his team is at that point have gone, okay, now we're all in to hold this jersey to the finish line. Whereas on stage 6 or whatever the stage we're looking at right now is, there's actually a number of teams that could be leading it. It could be a GC team. It could be the guy from the Prologue still. It could be somebody from the breakaway who's won the day or two prior, So you don't know which team's going to be leading. And whatever team's leading dictates how the race goes. And that means it could be hard through that middle section there, through those middle climbs, or it could be pretty easy. Or the breakaway could, again, win this day. But that climb at the end, it's 15K long by the looks of things. So I think GC showdown. And I think for George, it's just about not losing time, gain time if there's an option, if there's an opportunity without wasting too much energy, but ultimately just don't lose any time.
Okay, so here's a factor you need to weigh up now. It's a hilltop finish. Now, there could be big gaps between the GC guys and the last guys on the road. Now, as a rider, this is a pain in the ass with the transit to the hotel because you're waiting around on the bus for upwards of an hour and a half for your rest of your teammates to come in. They've got to have their shower. And you got to get off the climb. This is where you could not get into the hotel till 9:30, 10 o'clock. You got to get your massage. You got to have dinner. And it's usually after the first week we start counting down the days for the rest day and you're going, fuck, I'm starting to get over this. Like it was fun, the excitement at the start. But then when you get near the back end, if there's any logistical issues that go wrong, and usually the Giro's a classic for that where they go, hey, it's the Giro, eh? But nah, bullshit, mate. Sort your logistics out. This is the part, stage 6, where we could see GB starting to get a little bit of a chip, I reckon.
And you can guarantee as sure as God made little green apples, because it's the Giro, they'll have to just send that fucking climb to the bus. See that sprint? There's a sprint at 144.3K. The finish line's at 160K. So that's 15K there. I guarantee the buses are parked at that sprint at 144.3.
That one there, yeah.
Right there, boomba.
Yeah.
They're going to be. They'll race up that climb. They'll get to the top. They'll have to put their jackets on. If it's raining, it's a cold descent to the bus. You get to the bus, then it's a long transfer probably. We got no idea if that's true or not. The hotel could be at the fucking bottom. Who knows? But probably not. And that is where, it's a big, hard, long day. That's where it's important to have those good teammates because you don't want to get on the bus and then there's all of a sudden some like techno music playing or some shit.
Well, the worst was, remember for Vuelta, I remember one year, riders, when they had buses parked at the bottom of a hill from another team, the riders got lost. So there was the team bus waiting around for an extra hour because a couple of riders didn't know where the bus was parked. And that's when it really causes friction. And we're talking, stage 6. So let's just hope logistics for GB all go off without a hitch. And he's had a good ride. He gets back. They've got a nice hot thing of pasta. He can sit on his seat, chill out, put the tunes on, and just switch off. Because if he's had a shit ride and the logistics are shit and it's wet and the pasta's not ready or the rice is a bit off, a bit gluggy,
it'll be interesting to know if George is a pasta or a rice guy post-stage, eh?
Well, remember that rice mix I used to make for the boys back in the day?
Oh, yeah, the tuna, the honey,
tuna,
soy sauce,
salt. And that was long before they really cared about hygiene and like washing your hands and that. Remember, I'd just be in there. Fuck, that were the good old days.
That was back in the days when we were running like the multiple roles in the team, eh? So you were obviously the media man, the video maker, the content producer, but you're a nutritionist at the same time. And nowadays we finish the stages and we've got a nutritionist like all teams, and we've got our rice and our pasta. It's already been weighed and measured, and it's in our individual
bullshit.
plates.
They weigh it.
Yeah, so they'll know okay, Sam weighs X amount of kilos, he's burned X amount of calories, he needs X amount of carbohydrates after the stage. So it'll be all scientifically proven, whereas you were just like, fucking fill it to the brim. Fill it to the brim.
I just slap that shit in and give extra honey to me mates. Yeah, it was perfect.
But I had some of the best grand tours when you were a nutritionist.
Yeah, well, there you go. It works. It's all about the mental recovery.
Not to mention the nutrition used to encourage for the 3 days post-grand tours.
Oh, yeah. The greasy fry-ups. All right, stage 7. Yep, so now we're on a transition. Yep, this is another flat one. Caleb Ewan.
Yeah.
How many stages do you reckon Caleb's going to win?
I reckon he'll nab a couple and then he'll go home.
Yeah?
That's what I reckon. Because he's doing the tour as well. I think he's doing all 3 grand tours this year, Caleb.
Yeah. Okay, so stage 8, the Giro always do this too. Just before the rest day, they're like, all right, we're going to punish you. I haven't seen any of the race route, but looking at this stage 8 now, this is a classic. I don't even know what stage 9 is, but I reckon it'll be filthy because that's what they do. The last 2, it's just to cook you so that you go into the rest day absolutely pinned.
Yeah, we're into the weekend. They'll always stand to the weekend day. It just sends you into the rest day absolutely on your knees.
Yeah.
It's a big day.
All right, so this is they're calling it on Cycling Tips. It's a day for the breakaway. Yeah, I reckon people might be just going, all right, let's just survive because there must be a big one coming on. Yeah, here we go. Stage 9, filthy, 158K. We've got a Cat 2, Cat 3, Cat 2 finishing on a Cat 1. This is a gravel. This is the gravel section.
So this is a gravel finish here, 600 metres of gravel on the climb at the finish there.
Yeah. How's GB going the gravel?
Well, he was a past mountain biker. I don't know if he was a good one, but he was a past mountain biker. I reckon he'll back himself on the gravel. He's got a gravel bike. He's been doing a bit of gravel riding in the off-season.
Do you rate these gravel sections that they're throwing to Grand Tours? Because if you're a GC rider, you could potentially lose it from a puncher or you bin it or piss and rain.
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting the gravel sections because like we said, we haven't done any research to look at the stages, but I do know there's a big gravel stage coming up. I think it might be stage 10 even potentially. That's got like 35K of gravel, Strade Bianchi stage effectively, like when Cadell won in 2009, I think it was. It's interesting because I guess a Grand Tour, there's the argument that the person who wins a Grand Tour should be the overall best bike rider in the race, Therefore, when you add in time trials, flat stages, climbs, gravel, cobbles, sometimes in the Tour de France, as we've seen, the best overall bike rider will come out on top and win the race. But the thing is that it brings in like the element of mechanicals, crashes that are, that not normally wouldn't happen. Imagine if the gravel stage coming up is pissing rain, then you're bound to have GC contenders who have flat tires and lose time in those sorts of ways. So then you can sort of argue, are you going to get the overall champion? Because they may have suffered, they might be climbing better than anybody, they might be time trialing better than anybody, but then they punch and lose 3 minutes on a gravel stage. So it's a real catch-22, but at the end of the day, it's 2021. It's modern cycling. People love to watch it. They are fun to race. They are fun to race for someone like me who doesn't have the pressure of losing time. As a GC guy, I don't know how they feel about it. I think GC guys are just resilient fuckers, and they just go, "Oh, we've got to do it. We've got to make sure we get through it as best we can." But a stage like this, that gravel at the finish, it's not going to have a real big effect on the overall result. The result's going to come from the 4,000 meters prior, and then the finish, the climb to the finish. Like I say, the only risk is a puncher, maybe, but ultimately, this stage is going to be won by somebody who's going to win the Giro, probably, or very, very close to winning the Giro.
So you reckon GC will be pretty cemented by stage 9?
This will be a big GC. This will it won't cement the GC, but it will definitely show, I'd say, the 5 guys who could win the Giro. And I think,
So going back to GB's mental state, this stage here, because he'd be stressing about the gravel stage, you want to hope that what we were saying before, the bus, there's not a long transit. Because the other thing is some teams get fucked on because their hotel could be an extra 100 Ks away at the Giro. Whereas some other teams get bloody kissed if they're, 20 minutes from the finish. There's always 2 or 3 hotels.
But there's a catch-22 because often you have, and it comes down to what George prefers and what rubs him up the wrong way or what doesn't, because you might have an extra 100K after the stage, but you have 100K less before the stage the next day, potentially.
Yeah. What would you rather do?
I'd rather have the extra 100K after the stage because ultimately, mate, we're entitled, we're privileged bike riders, and we get to sit on a luxury bus. We've got our media, video content maker, producer bringing us tuna and rice with honey and soy sauce. We've got our headphones on, we're listening to tunes, we're listening to Social Distance podcast, catching up on the latest episodes, watching Netflix, we're doing whatever we want. Mate, it's chilled, it's relaxed. Okay, you might arrive late in the hotel and massage is a bit rushed and dinner's a bit late and then you go to bed an hour later than what you would prefer, but then you get to sleep in the morning. The worst thing for me is if you've got fucking midday start and you've got an extra hour to drive to the start and you have to leave the hotel at 9. I'd rather leave the hotel at 10 and I can have breakfast at 9. I'd rather have the chilled morning, the later arrival at the hotel. That's what I prefer. GC guys, different? I don't know.
Just a random point, totally not related to the Giro. What's your take on the situation with India and the cricketers at the moment? It's blown up here in Australia because Michael Slater, the commentator, so obviously COVID's gone ape shit in India at the moment and they've cancelled the IPL. And Michael Slater, one of the commentators, has gone to the Maldives, but cracked the shits at Australia who have said, nah, we're not allowing anyone to sort of do the loophole, go to the Maldives and get back in Australia. Anyone that tries that, jail time. Like they're literally threatened to lock people up into jail. And we're not letting anyone in from who's been in India till 5th of May. And Slats has fired up saying, oh, well, you got blood on your hands to the PM, fly your private jet over here. Whereas a lot of people are going, hang on, Slats. You went to India knowing that there was a risk or as part of your job, and you're fucking whinging that you're in the Maldives?
But second to that is that they got when Australia, like a lot of countries around the world, shut their borders to India, they gave them warning. And those IPL players, Slats, who's there as a commentator, but like there's a handful of English, Australian and Kiwi players or coaches or commentators in India for the IPL. They had a warning. They had a couple of days to get out of there and they chose to stay. So they stayed because obviously they're getting paid a shitload of money and then in credit to them, it's their job. It's like the same as us. Like when lockdown happened over here, we had an opportunity to go back to New Zealand last year or to Australia or whatever, but we stayed here because this is where our job is, this is where our work is, and this is where, we're paid to be in Europe to race our bikes or to train or whatever. So we overriding everything, our job effectively didn't make us, but we chose to stay here for our job. So that's what they've done. Okay. Then the Premier League gets cancelled. But now they're demanding, we want a charter flight home. Now we're stuck over here, blah, blah, blah. Well, you knew that risk was there. And if the Australian government or the New Zealand government or the English government's going to charter these players home, then what right do they have over any other citizen of those countries? You know, there could be an Australian guy there who works for an insurance company in Delhi, for example. He can't fucking get home. Is he going to get a charter flight? No way. So why do they have a right and other Australian citizens don't?
It's amazing the pedestal of fucking sports stars.
Mm.
You know, you are a privileged bunch. You are a privileged bunch that are bloody kissed on your ass. You get it all bloody put on a silver spoon. But I like your perspective, Bills. You've still got it. All right, let's keep moving on. So this is a big one. What do you reckon GB will do on the rest day? He'll have to spin it out for a couple of hours. He'll be stressing about the next block. He'll always be thinking about the next block.
Well, I mean, we spoke about it in the intro of the show. One thing I'm pretty confident he won't be doing on the rest of the podcast. But, you know, he might surprise us. But, yeah, you got to – I mean, look at that stage after. It's not an easy day. It's not hard, but it's still solid, still tricky, little solid start. You want to get a couple of hours, and he'll do a couple of hours.
It's only 139 Ks. These shorter ones are good. They should do more of them. 139 Ks, bam, bam, get it in, get it out, done.
Yeah.
All right, that's stage 11. This looks a bit more filthy.
This is Strade Bianchi.
Yeah.
This is the stage we've all been waiting for. See, that is 35K of gravel there, and they're exactly the same roads as they use in Strade Bianchi. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Can you see them? That grey bit? You're colourblind.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I am colourblind. I am. Failed my driver's test first time. Red and green colourblind.
That's why you're not a pilot. That's why you're not a pilot. So, look, there's a 9K gravel section, a 13K gravel section, a 8K gravel section, a 5K gravel section. So this is a stage that's really going to be just a standard adage. You can't win the Giro, but you can lose it. You know, and it's true. Like, you probably can't win the Giro on the stage. Like, it'll be a stage that's won by one of those, you know, punchy kind of guys.
That Evenepoel, because he's going to be just a mad dog, and if he's feeling strong and he's good on this gravel stuff, he's just going to be going full biscuit, I reckon.
It's definitely an opportunity for some GC guys like that are suited to the stuff to take maybe a little bit of time. But you really want the main goal with GC guy, the main goal of George. George has done a good Strade Bianchi before, actually. He raced it in the pissing rain and cold in 2018, I reckon it might have been even. And he finished right up there, top 10, I think. So he's handy on these sort of stages. I think it's a stage where he could probably take his opportunities. He could probably potentially, you know, gain a bit of time on some of his rivals on the stage. I'd back him. But ultimately, you're trying to survive. You don't want to crash. You don't want to get punches. You want to make sure this actually is a stage where George has a fucking good team for it. He's going to have guys around him all day.
Yeah.
If he's punching, there's a guy there with a wheel. You know.
So is this the Rock Balboa moment? This stage, this is where if he's sort of thereabouts, he goes, right, let's go. All chips in. It's on.
I don't know if you go all chips in, but you look for opportunities. You know, you could maybe benefit from some misfortunes of other rivals potentially. You know, I mean, morally and ethically, you wouldn't if the leader's jersey or one of your rivals punch it at a bad time and you weren't planning to attack, you probably wouldn't. But like if you were planning to attack and you put the team on the front, and you're going full gas on a section, and one of your rivals punched it, well then that's bike racing. You just keep going. That's always been an argument in the bunch. Do you stop or what? Well, I think if it's in your plan and you've already started when the puncher happens, then you carry on. I mean, you don't start when it's happened, but those are moments where you can benefit, unfortunately, from the misfortunes of your rivals. So I think all GC guys will be, you know, riding the stage at the front and ultimately best form of defense is offense on a stage like this, I'd say.
Yep. All right. Moving along. Oh, that's another filthy one. Stage 12, 212 Ks. Couple of Cat 2s, Cat 3 at the finish there. This is just a survival sort of one. Good for a breakaway.
But so these stages are the stages in Tuscany as well. So these last couple of stages, including this one, are all around Tuscany, which those roads, they're just tricky roads. Like, it's hard in Tuscany, man. Great place to go and rent a Vespa and drive around the vineyards. But to race a bike, it's difficult. They're just small, up and down, twisty. There's always something to contend with in Tuscany. So it's a stage that a breakaway will probably have a chance. But like the GC guys, there'll be a lot of stress on a stage like this.
What's the general rule of thumb with red wine during a Grand Tour? Like, are you allowed to have one glass a night? Because if you're going to have a bit of a tipple, it'd be these couple of stages.
Depends actually who you are. I mean, I think in all the Giros I've done, I've tried to stay off the grog for as long as I can, which is probably, surprising to some people when you hear that of course you should be staying off the grog. You're racing the fucking Grand Tour. But as the race goes on, I might have a glass of wine with dinner. And then, I've been known, and I remember before the last stage, 2015, we had even more than a glass. Actually, I remember doing the last stage a bit of a headache, to be fair. But I know George pretty well, and I'm probably picking the fact that he won't be having any glasses of wine. If you do win a stage, definitely you have a glass or a champagne or something. But just to wrap it up, you stay off the red wine, even though you are in Chianti, beautiful wine.
Can't you have one though, just to chill the nerves?
Yeah, you can
help you mentally.
Yeah, you can.
If I was George, I just have one over dinner just to feel like, get the blood pumping.
But the thing is, like,
go for it.
The thing is, like, when you start getting fatigued in these races, like, one of the big issues, especially with GC riders, or for everybody, when you start getting fatigued, you start to hold on to water. You start to store a lot of water.
Oh, right.
So you get that water. Obviously, you're trying to be as light as you possibly can be for most stages, but you start to, some guys can put on between 2 and 4 kilos of water weight. So
I remember Albacini had that problem with his liver.
So it happens, and obviously, if I was to hold on to 2 kilos of water weight, it's less of an issue for somebody who maybe 55 kilos who holds on to 2 kilos of water weight, because the percentage of their body weight is so much higher. So you're trying to avoid these inflammatory foods. And red wine, unfortunately, as tasty as it is and as good as it is on the lips, it's nice to wet the whistle every now and again. It does help you store a bit of water. So I think it's what people are mindful of.
All right. All right. Moving along. Stage 13, pancake flat. What's that? That's just a sprint stage.
Just stock standard. That'll be actually boring. That's a good recovery day though. If you're a GC, if you're George, your number one goal on the stage is to recover. Eat lots of food. Just hide out in the bunch. Take it as easy as possible. Try to make it. It seems weird to a lot of people to say, like, it's 200k stage, it's a recovery day. And these races, they can be so easy that they are recovery days.
But
boring as shit.
It'll be crosswinds for something. It'll get dished up. It'll be massive crosswinds on that day. There'll be something. Every time you look at a stage like that and you go, oh, sweet, crosswind.
Or there'll be 15 roundabouts in the finish or something.
Yeah. All right. Oh no.
Okay, so this stage is an interesting one for
14.
George. This is a big GC day. And I think everybody who listens to the show who likes cycling will know Mont Zoncolan. It's one of the most famous climbs in cycling.
That's where Heppy did the horses thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Great day. 2014.
It's, like, off the top of my head, it's like a 10K climb at 12% or something. It's ridiculous. It's one of the hardest climbs in Zoncolan, and then there's Angleroo in Spain. 2 hardest climbs in cycling. And this is going to be a stage that George is going to be hopefully not thinking too much about, because in 2018, when he finished 8th overall, he probably could have finished potentially a couple more spots further up the ladder there, because on Zoncolan, he had a mechanical failure. His bike went into crash mode. He couldn't get it out of the big chain ring. You can't ride up the Zoncolan in the big chain ring, unfortunately. And he lost a bit of time. He actually went up the Zoncolan. It happened right at the bottom of the Zoncolan. And he actually went up the Zoncolan faster than a lot of the bike riders who finished a minute or a minute and a half in front of him, because he lost so much time at the bottom with the mechanical. And without that happening, he could have finished 5th on GC potentially. So we'll be hoping that it's not going to be on George's mind. But I think the fact that he You know, it was such a negative day for him, but at the same time, I hope he looked at the positives of it and goes, fuck, I actually went up that climb really, really quick that year, 3 or 4 years ago. So he knows he can go up this climb fast. And if he does go up this climb fast, you really, really make some big gains in the GC. This is a big, big GC day. Whoever wins the stage will probably win the Giro.
Yep. And if you're creeping or if you're on a bad one and you've had a couple of red wines the night before thinking, fuck it, and you've retained that fluid, it could be all over.
Mate, this is not the day you want to have a bad day. Like if you're 5% off your game as a GC guy on a climb like this, you're fucked.
You're fucked.
Yeah. You lose too much time. You need to have a good day.
So best case scenario, right? George has had an absolute blinder. Everything's gone to plan. He smashed it on the gravel sections, and he's bopping around. He is at the pointy end of the GC. We're talking third on GC. How do you think his mindset will be going into at this point of the race?
I reckon you'd be. I think would
you pinpoint a stage and go, you know what, fucking balls out, play the Rocky music on the bus. This is it. We're going to fucking snatch it.
Well, we're talking about George's mindset here. Let's say in a hypothetical world, like you say, he's sitting third on GC. He's a bee stick off the top step. You know, let's say he's within 15 seconds, 20 seconds of the leader.
Yeah.
His mindset, it's a real abacus, his mindset. Is that the right word? It's like a Rubik's Cube. It's hard to fucking work out. It's real hard to work out, you know? You can spend years and years trying to get those colours to line up, and fuck, I've never done it. I don't know about you, but I haven't.
No, won't try.
So I think if he's in that position, he's confident. I reckon he'll have a really good mindset because he knows, like, I'm flying here. I know I can go up Zonkline fast. I know I'm going to go up fast. And I reckon it's going to be the stage where he really cements the point where people start going, George Bennett's riding towards the podium here at the Giro.
George Bennett has arrived and has earned the right to lead this team.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, awesome. Sunday. Oh, we can kill the Rocky.
Turn that music off, yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
So what was that about? All I could hear was just continue like ding ding.
Oh, I thought it was coming through good over this end of the mic.
Yeah,
I just thought, fucking get a bit of bloody rocket up your ass.
No, I like it.
You're starting to taper off a bit. You're starting to fire up. All right, stage 15. This is the Sunday. Obviously, is the rest day on the Monday. So this is just survive again. So this is
a circuit.
sprinters.
That's a circuit by the looks. Well, look at it. Same climb.
A short stage that brings with it the race's first departure from Italy. Stage features a circuit, you're right, in closing Ks. Takes the riders in and out of neighbouring Slovenia. Oh, total of 4 times. Miha.
1.7K at 8.5%. Yeah. I don't know. How far is that last climb? 10K, 8K. Only 8K from the finish. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be a sprint. I don't reckon it'll be a sprint. I reckon it'll be a breakaway, probably win that stage, or like a little puncher, whatever you call them. I don't know what punchers are going to be there. Probably good. It's actually a good stage for Remco, to be fair. If he feels like he needs to do that, if he feels like he needs to gain some time in an unexpected place, this is probably a good stage for him to do that. Jump away on that last climb, 8K time trial to finish. Maybe nab 20 seconds on his rivals if he needs it. Again, it depends on who's leading the race, how they want to do it, how they want to. I think if a GC team is leading the race by this point, that's clear. They're going to be leading the breakaway win. Do the sprint teams back their sprinters? Do they say, that climb at the end's too hard, it's too close to the finish? If that's the case, the breakaway wins. But yeah, I think for George, again, survive, mate. Get to the finish, bunch of time.
He's still sitting on third on GC. We get to stage 16. Oh, this is Monday. Hang on. Oh, yeah. So the rest day's on the Tuesday. What? It is. So they're racing. So it's Sunday, then Monday. Yeah. That's fucked. It should be on the Monday. They're stretching it out. Giro again.
Why are they doing that?
I don't know. But that would, if I was riding, I mean, it was hard enough for staff. The danger zone, even with staff, was like 14 to stage 18 of a Grand Tour. That's when you're cooked. That's when people tell you jokes and you just like, shut the fuck up. It's not funny anymore. I'm over it. I'm over it. I'm going to quit. It's my last year with the team. I'm over this shit. And then you can see the finish line by about stage 18. But this is a real mental danger zone this period here. The fact that they don't have the rest day on the Monday is bullshit.
Yeah, that's hard on your head as a bike rider too, because you break the first part of the Grand Tour is 10 days for the first rest day, and then it's week. The Grand Tour gets shorter as it goes, but they've extended it out. But I tell you what, as a bike rider, especially as a big guy, thank fuck that stage is not after the rest day, because stage 16, I think I've spoken about on the show before. I've had some absolute shockers, and look at that. Bring that profile back up. Look at that. Imagine
That's
that
shit house,
mate. 20k climb out of the holes. That is scary after a rest day. So it's actually good to take the fatigue of the previous stage into the stage. It's actually better than taking fresh legs. And it was backward as that sounds, but that's a massive day. But the real interesting thing about this stage is there's a downhill finish. Okay, so there's 3 big passes in the second half of the stage. 3 big passes. It's a downhill finish, which obviously changes the result sometimes. It means that a group could go to the line, or somebody has to do a pretty fast solo descent to the finish to win the stage. But the real interesting thing about these stages is that look how high the climbs are: 2,100 meters, 2,300 meters, 2,300 meters. Like those are high stages, and those altitude stages, they really affect the results. Some guys perform really well at altitude, other guys not so well. I mean, these days, every single bike rider on the peloton spends half their life at altitude anyway, so everyone's a little bit more used to it. But that's a stage where Bernal, born and bred at 2,500 meters, he's been in Colombia for the last 6 weeks since Torino. He'll be breathing through his nose on these stages. But George has also done a big altitude block. I think he performs pretty well at altitude. So I think it's all chips in this stage. If you've got the legs, you go. You have a crack. If you've got the legs, you go for it.
Should have saved the rocket music for this one. Oh.
So
then you've got, so you got the rest day where everyone would be absolutely pinned. There'd be a lot of sprinters that just got the ass with the time cut off to this one, eh? Like this is just pure survival.
I think time cuts are right at a stage like this. Like you just get over that first climb, you come back in the valley, and then you get dropped again. But you're all right. Time cut. It's a long, mentally frying day.
Filth. All right, stage 17. That's filthy again. Those 2 cap ones, you can go and get fucked. Mate. I've been looking at this race route. This is the point where you've ripped your race book apart. Everyone is giving you the shits. You've turned your phone off. You're not accepting calls. You are fucking over it. There's no other way to look at it. You are fucking over it.
Mate, this is a massive GC.
Yeah. So this is it. This is it. I mean, if the GC separated pretty close by this stage 16, it's still up for grabs. Like anything can happen. One bad day coming up. I don't even know what's coming after this one, but you could lose 5-10 minutes easy.
Mate, for a big guy, you look at that stage like me, like my Grand Tour brain just like subliminally clicking in as I look at the stage. I think that's actually a fucking sweet stage for me because you make it. It's all downhill and flat to the first climb, and you make it to 140k into the stage. It's only 193, so you make it to 50k to go before you get dropped. Just cruise it in. 2 big climbs, but there's no hurry, there's no stress about time cut. But a GC guy looks at it and goes, whoa, this is a day where we've got to be on. Like, fuck, there's some pressure. Like, this is exactly like you say, Jonsey. That first climb there, it's hard. You start to show cracks there, you're losing big amounts of time.
Big time. 5
minutes or more. Even if you get over that climb with the front as a GC guy, but you sort of had to fight to be there, you get that last climb, it's lights out, it's done. Giro's finished for you.
Mate, you have a mechanical on that second last climb and stress out and fucking rail that descent. That is a sharp descent into the last climb. Oh, that's going to be
that's a big day.
Imagine if it's piss and rain that day.
I reckon.
Mate.
just to throw a blanket over what we're about to see, what we've seen the last two stages and what we're about to see until the finish of the Giro.
Yeah.
George, it's all chips in now, mate. You take time on any stage you can.
Yeah.
Don't lose any time anywhere. But if you've got good legs, if you've got, if you're floating, you're chainless, you feel like all that shit, like you're up, you go for it. You take time on any opportunity you get.
You know what I'll be saying? George, don't even worry about the win. Just fucking survive. This is filth. This is filth. Just survive, man. Just stay there and make sure you get to the finish. All right, stage 18. Oh, yeah, that's flat. That's 31 Ks. Yep, after those last two, they couldn't dish up more filth. All right, forget that.
That is still filthy, though, because it's 230K.
Yeah, I know. That's stupid. It should be 150.
Stage 18. Sprint stage, 230K. So finally you've gone, whether you're a GC guy, a big guy, a gruppetto guy, a sprinter, you've finally gone, yes, we don't have the physical stress of what's coming. And then you look at the map and you go, but we've got fucking 6.5 hours tomorrow.
Imagine
it's just as much of a head fuck as those mountain stages.
Imagine if it was a block headwind.
And pissing rain.
Oh, no.
Mate, we did a stage in 2015 Giro. It was 240K block headwind sprint stage with 5K climb at the finish. 7 hours or something. Block headwind.
Yeah. Have a look. Just when you saw that and you go, well, at least it's flat. Stage 19. Filth. 176K. There's a Cat 1, Cat 3, and finishes on a Cat 1. Yeah, this is nasty. This is nasty.
Real nasty.
And they're saying what to watch for on cycling tips. The descent off the Motoron is quite technical. So you got a technical descent in off the first Cat 1 halfway through the stage. So if George mentally was a bit fragile, like imagine him going into this stage, he even just in survival mode to hold on to his potential podium.
But George has got a little arrow in his quiver that a lot of people don't know about, but you and I, as hosts of the show and the listeners of the show, do know very, very well. It's called small man syndrome.
Yeah.
So he doesn't back down. He's like a little Jack Russell up against a bulldog. He doesn't give a fuck. He'll have a crack. He'll go for the nuts if he has to. Yeah. And so that descent's not going to scare him. He'll actually look at that descent and go, there's no one in the world that can go down this descent better than me. Fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
He's not scared. He's not scared of this shit.
At this point of the race, he's just pure angry, and those dozen demons on his shoulder are popping to the front. And this is where they're just filling his head with, get the fuck out of my way.
Yeah.
I'm owning this.
And at this point, he's in a position that, more than likely not, wherever he's sitting on GC on this day is probably more or less where he's going to finish the Giro, give or take one or two places either way. So at this point, he's confident. He knows where he's at. He knows who he's around. He knows who he needs to follow, and he knows what he needs to do. And he's just all in. He's all in at this point, GB. And he's going to have a crack in the third week. I've got a feeling this time. He's done it right. He's timed it well.
I reckon there could have been some behind-the-scenes conversations with the teams where he's probably had a boardroom meeting and just banged the table and said, you need to show me some fucking respect and you need to give me the leadership for at least one granny and I will show you what I can do.
Yeah.
I want the Giro. And this is the point where he goes, see, I fucking told you. I told you I should have been the leader, and he smashes it.
What if he flops? What's he say then?
Well, the beauty of that comment is he doesn't fucking listen to the show. So, all right, stage
12. Serious question. What do you say to the team if he's done that? I want my leadership. I deserve it. And then he goes, burp, burp. What do you say then?
Yeah, he goes, I busted my ass for Roglic. He fucking let me down. I want my own. Imagine that. And then they go, calm down, George. No, I'll leave the team. There's plenty of other teams that bloody want me. Hey, what can we do to make you happy? I want the Giro. And then he fucking flops on this stage. 19. Nah, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
No. I had dinner with George, and I'm not going to give anything away.
Go on. He's not going to listen.
No, but I've got a real good feeling about George this Giro. Real good feeling.
Yeah, same.
The state of mind he was in was impeccable. You know, he was just confident. He wasn't cocky. He was happy with where he's at. I think he's going to have a fucking good one.
Yeah, bloody oath. And we're all chips
So-
in on the GB train. Have a look at this one. Stage 20. This is filth. This is the
It's just
Giro's way. This is the Giro's organisers' way of going. We've tried to absolutely smash your mental state. We've tried to smash your legs. We've tried to smash all your confidence. And we're really going to finish you off here. This is when you're on the ground. It's like that episode of The Simpsons. Stop, he's already dead. This is just filth for a final like run in before the time trial. I'm assuming there's a time trial on the last day.
Yeah,
but you've got
I haven't seen one yet.
Three cat ones to
Oh,
finish.
San Bernardino pass. Oh, that's a monster. San Bernardino, that is an absolute monster, that climb.
Yeah.
Look at it. 40K or something.
Mate, you could honestly be trailing GC by 4 minutes going into this day and still be in with a fighting chance.
Yeah. You could be. It's been done before.
You don't have to show your cards until stage 20. Here's the stats here. There's a total of 4,200 meters of climbing on the day, and fireworks are a near certainty. So just hide as much as you can. And as long as you're within 3 or 4 minutes and you haven't had to bust your nuts, then just lay it all out on the last day. Or second last day.
I agree. I think the 6 or 7 stages leading up to this are too hard for you just to be like, oh, we'll just get through. You're going to have to, at some point, you're going to have to go fucking hard. But I think you literally could just be there.
Wheel truck as much as you can, yeah.
And then just be consistent. You haven't nabbed a stage win, you know. You've just been thereabouts. And then on this stage, if you've still got the legs, you literally could win the Giro on this stage. It's been done. We saw Froome do it in 2018. We saw Nibali do it in 2016. Unfortunately, I was in the fucking leaders jersey, the team with leaders jersey in both those races. So I've copped it. So hopefully I'm not going to copy this because I'm not there, but George will be.
So is this looking at the race route now? Is it all about even copying Froome and just looking at your meter and riding within your limits up until this stage? Don't worry about all the other fireworks. Just stay within. Just ride a real data race for the first 19 stages, and then this one just go all balls out.
I think you can't underestimate the confidence you get from having a couple of good days early on, though. Like, you know, like if George nabbed a stage win on one of those big mountain stages, you know, you get a lot of confidence from that. A lot of confidence. And even if you know, like, scientifically everything's looking well, this is what the plan is, just ride, just within yourself, all until stage 20. You know, even when you know that, if there's still guys beating you, like, or say like another rival of his is 1, 2, or 3 mountain stages, then you start going, now this is part of the plan, but fuck, this guy's good. Oh, he's beat me 3 times now. I think you at a certain point, there's going to be a couple of stages where you go all in, you try to win the stage, you try to take the leader's jersey. But you still have in the back of your mind, or the forefront of your mind probably, stage 20 is a day where, again, like Zoncolan, you don't want to have bad legs. You don't want to have bad legs.
No, and then you've got the final time trial, pancake flat, slightly down,
quite long,
30Ks.
Yeah, this is interesting because this is where, like, as I said earlier, that, you know, by sort of stage 15, 16, 17, wherever George is sitting on GC is more or less where he's probably going to finish, you know, give or take 1 or 2 places. And those 1 or 2 places that he may gain or he may lose will come on this stage, on this 30K time trial, because it's 30K is a long time trial. It's 45-minute effort. You can give up time, or you can gain a fair bit of time on your rivals there. So if George is sitting 3rd on GC and he's 20 seconds off 2nd and he's 20 seconds in front of 4th, it's real nerve-wracking. Who's in front of you? Who's behind you? Am I a better time trial rider than the guy in front of me? Am I a worse time trial rider than the guy behind me? And that's where you start playing these head games. Oh, I'm still feeling good, but at stage 21, you can't hide the fact that your legs are rooted. And you start going, oh shit, such and such is 20 seconds behind me, and he's a good time trial rider. And then those things start to play in your head. But it's stage 21 of the Grand Tour. And even if the guy who's 20 seconds behind you beats you 9 times out of 10 in a time trial, stage 21 is completely different. And if you are 1% better than him or 2% better than him come the end of this race, you got nothing to worry about. So
Mate,
you got to you got to push that out of your head and just fucking go balls to the wall.
I disagree. I reckon you're not going to know what the fuck is going on. Like stage 16, right? We think it's going to be sewn up there. It's too much filth to come. There's that nasty one in stage 17. That one's, as you said, it's not going to be as easy as it looks on paper. That's filth. Stage 19, stage 20 is filthy. There's 3 stages there where anyone can get, if they got one bad day, they're fucked.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, with the exception of somebody, if you're saying you're sitting 5th on GC or George is sitting 3rd on GC, at that coming into stage 20, barring the guy behind you having an absolute blinder or you having an absolute shocker, you're going to maintain that sort of position, you know, because it's been set up that way. You know, the 2 guys that are in front of George have been better than George up until this point. Barring them having an absolute shocker, they're probably going to be better than him that day. The guys behind him have been worse than George. Barring them having an absolute blinder, they're probably going to be worse than George. So you sort of stay in that area.
Mix, yeah.
In that mix. But then when you get to a time trial, it's a completely different discipline because all those guys we're talking about climbing stages. So George has been climbing better than those guys every single climbing stage, or he's been climbing worse than those guys every single climbing stage. But then you bring in a whole new discipline, which is a flat 30K time trial, which if it's the same as last year's on a fucking motorway, it's dead straight, it's boring as batshit. It's a completely different discipline. And you may climb better than Rider X, but he may time trial better than you. And if he's close enough, you start to worry, is he too close? You know, all that's what I'm trying to say. So that last stage is the stage where you could potentially jump a spot or fall a spot. And you got to knock the mental side of it all to 6 because it's stage 21. It's not stage 6 of Paris-Nice. It's stage 21 of the Giro. And people time trial completely different when they're fucked. So all George is focused on is this day is aero, fucking head down, nutrition, whatever watts you got left.
All right, I've got a question for you. If George was to pull off a podium at the Giro, how much media attention would that get in NZ? Surely that'd have to be a big news story.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It'd be big. It'd be big for about 3 days, and then they'd realise that the whole population doesn't know what the fucking Giro d'Italia is.
And if he was to pull off the miracle, if he was to win it, would they have to fly back like they did with Cadell when he won the Tour and do some sort of ceremony? Or if he won the Giro, how big would it be in NZ?
No, I say that in jest that in 2 days' time the country would forget. I don't think so. I think if he podiumed and if he won, mate, it'd be huge. He'd have to be right up there for New Zealand Sportsman of the Year, I think, at the Halberg Awards. If he wasn't, it'd be a joke. He'd be a household name in New Zealand. Absolute household name. And then you have to argue, does he need that? Does he want that?
Yeah, fuck winning the Giro. I just don't want I don't want the celebrity status. I'm going to throw it. I'm going to get that time trial. I'm just going to bin it because I don't fucking need it. I don't want it. Yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point, Jules.
Yeah. So good luck, George.
Well, I think that was a good analysis, mate. I think you did a great job. I thought you so most people they listen to this potty, and we've had episodes where remember when George ran second at Lombardy, or did you run second or third?
Second, and I didn't even know it was this monument, and we got 35 minutes into an ep, and we're like, "Oh, how'd you go on the weekend?" Yeah, run second in Lombardy. Oh shit, mate, that's a monument. At least if you've been listening to this show, and we're 2 seasons in and however many eps, at least we've given you a proper cycling analysis show for once. Because as we know, our shows are under research. This one was no exception. We didn't do any. You and I came up with this idea to do this dive into George's Giro about half an hour ago.
Yeah,
we hadn't done any research on the Giro. We did our research as we recorded. We sent him a
message. We sent him a message and we said, "Hey, any chance of a pre-Giro start ep GB?" And we got donuts. Surely that would bring you good luck.
Yeah, so we've done it without him. we came up with this idea. We thought, shit, we've got to do something. So we thought, let's do this. Let's research the Giro while we record and try to dissect George's Giro. I think ultimately we've stuck with the theme of being completely under-researched, unprepared. But it's been good. Like you say, Jonsey, our shows are typically about anything and everything. We focused on one particular topic. We did a Giro. So for all you guys out there who listen to bike racing, you should like, share, and subscribe to this episode. You should share. You know, you'll be listening to all the other cycling podcasts out there that are doing their Giro preparations and Giro predictions and all that.
No one's dropping F-bombs.
This one's completely different. And it's, I'd argue, much worse. So you should share. And if you like it, tell other people to listen to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Good luck, George.
Get behind George. Do we need a hashtag that we should create for the Social Distance podcast?
George's Giro? Well, this episode, look, we've recorded this episode. We're 48 hours out from the start of the Giro. This episode will be released between 36 and 24 hours before the Giro. Yep. So we've got till, let's say, Sunday afternoon, European time.
Come up with a hashtag.
Come up with a hashtag for George. I think something like hashtag George's Giro, or we can go a little bit more, whatever we want to do, but more ironic. Fire us some hashtag ideas and we'll stick with them, and we'll, as we tweet throughout the Giro, we'll use that hashtag.
I'll tweet, mate. You can give me the keys again. I won't leave down. All right. Great, mate.
All right.
Go, George.
Go, George!